Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience Podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what can you expect from the Mike Litton Experience? You can expect stories that will inspire, motivate, advice that will sharpen your focus, and expert information on real estate, finance, and market conditions. Eshed Doni, thank you so much for being our guest on the Mike Litton Experience. I'm super excited about our time together. Like we talked about before we hit record, everybody has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And so with your permission, we're going to start with where you were born, go all the way up to today. And then we want to talk about giftcrowd.com, that kind of thing, right? And anything else that you're working on for the future, okay?
Sounds good.
All right. So where were you born?
I was born in Tel Aviv, Israel.
Okay. Did you grow up there?
I grew up in a small town called Ra'anana, which is practically a suburb of Tel Aviv.
Okay.
And yeah, it was a small town with now, it's difficult to tell that it's the same place. But back then, as a kid, I remember us walking in fields, picking up fruits. It was really great place to grow. And back then we were lucky because we didn't have too much technology.
Yeah.
So we were out there playing soccer, playing basketball, going to the beach a lot because it's Israel and Israel is super hot.
Yeah.
So
is it cooler on the beach?
Sorry?
Is the ambient temperature cooler on the ocean?
There's breeze.
Okay.
And you can swim.
Okay.
It's probably the water temperature is around, I want to say 80 degrees.
Ooh, wow.
So it's probably the best place to spend the summer.
Oh, sure.
It's actually in the Mediterranean Sea. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. So what was your favorite thing about growing up there?
I think that what I really like the most is that within 5 minutes by foot, I could get to any of my friends.
Oh, cool. So they were all right there.
And we didn't even have phones. So, you would just walk to a friend, knock at the door. Maybe they're home, maybe they're not. Maybe they're not home, but their mom can tell you, he went to this other friend or he's playing there. And it was, kind of simple but fun.
That's cool. So in high school, what was your favorite subject?
Math.
By far,
love math. I still love math, even though, as I grew older and I studied math at university, it was no longer that much fun.
Yeah.
But in high school, it was still fun and it made sense. And I really loved it. I love the fact that you work on an exercise and then you get the right answer or not.
Right.
But it's a clear cut. It's not a maybe. You're right or you're wrong. That's it.
Right. It's very simple.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Very straightforward, I'd say.
Right. Yeah. When you get into college and you start taking advanced math, it doesn't make sense anymore.
Oh yeah.
It's like, and it's not fun. It's serious. Like you got to really buckle down.
I'd say that at university, it was not fun. I would say it was much closer to being a nightmare. Because
that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so growing up, who was the most influential person to you?
Gee, that's a tough question. I want to say, at least until a certain age that my elementary school principal was one of the most influential individuals I met back then, because on one hand she was very soft.
Mm-hmm.
She always, I guess that she was probably in her 40s back then, but as a kid, she seemed to be old.
Yeah.
But she had this very rare combination of being strict, but being very soft. And everyone knew, or everyone felt, that she loved them. I'm talking about all the kids. But
Yeah.
then on the other hand, you knew that you must abide by her rules,
Right.
because otherwise, she'll call you up.
Yeah.
But after that, I don't know. I think that they had, different influential individuals
Mhm.
in different fields.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm not sure that there was kind of, a single person.
So here's a question for you. Who did you learn your values and your work ethic from?
That's easy. That's my grandfather.
Yeah.
My maternal grandfather, he was always old. It's funny because he was old and he lived to 95.
Yeah.
He was the most honest person I know. And for him, it's not that there was kind of a second thought of there's the honest way and that's it. That's the only way that exists.
Right.
So he was one of those individuals. If he walked in the street and he found, I don't know, a note, money note on the sidewalk, he would literally go and try to ask around and try to find the person who lost it.
Right.
Right? And clearly, many individuals could say, yeah, it's mine. And you might think that, he was kind of gullible because, of course. But on the other hand, and by the way, it was a nightmare to work with him in the street. Why? Because he used to stop and talk to every person, and everyone loved him.
Yeah.
Going to the supermarket would take 3 hours, even if he only went there for some vegetables.
Yeah.
He would talk to everyone, and it was easy for everyone to feel that he was genuinely interested
Yeah.
in them.
Yeah.
And, he would ask questions and they would answer.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a single person, it was one person after the other.
I love that. That's cool.
So yeah, and for him, I also learned the notion of don't think that you're miserable.
Right.
Don't think that you're miserable, one, because you're not,
Mm-hmm.
and also because it won't help you. And for hearing and learning it from someone like him. So he was born and raised in Poland
Mm-hmm.
pre-World War II. He escaped Poland just before the war.
Mm-hmm.
He survived. Most of his family did not survive.
Mm-hmm.
So he had no idea that when he left Poland, that was the last time he would see his parents and then sisters and brothers and everyone. And he moved to Israel, came penniless. He wanted to go to the university, but he couldn't afford it. So he was taking any job he could.
Mm-hmm.
And and I knew him, when he was older. He's one of those individuals. He couldn't make an omelet, honestly. But when he needed money, he worked as a painter.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you, he had no idea what he was doing.
But he was charming.
Sorry?
He was charming.
He was charming, yeah. He was a serious charmer. So and he literally built everything. He got everything he owned. He worked hard for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he loved people. He loved life. He was always, looking for the funny side of things. So yeah, he was definitely inspirational.
He sounds like a character.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so after you graduate high school, where do you go from there?
So in Israel, it's pretty simple because you join the army.
Okay,
You join the
automatically.
army. Sorry?
Automatically?
That's the norm.
Okay.
There are programs that allow you to go to the university first and then join the army. And I was thinking about it. I was even accepted into such a program, but I realized that I want to stay with my classmates and kind of
Yeah.
do the same. So I joined the army. I went to a technology unit of
Mhm.
the Israeli Air Force, which made me a programmer at the age of 19.
Wow.
Yeah. And I spent there 6 years, 6 amazing years, because one of the things that are very unique about the Israeli army is because you join when you're 18 years old, you go through
Mhm.
training, and then at the age of 19 or 20, you get responsibility
Mhm.
that you wouldn't get at such a young age anywhere else.
Right.
So I was in a technology unit. Others, would be commanders in the field
Mhm.
at the same age, which,
Right.
I remember the certain morning I was like, gee, these guys are really crazy. I'm not sure that I should trust them because they trust me. It doesn't make sense. But anyway,
They're putting me in charge? What are they thinking?
yeah, exactly. But it was an amazing experience because it's and I think that someone who didn't go through that might have a hard time to grasp it, because you're in the army, right? So
Yeah.
it's very strict. You need to shave every day, which I never did even after I left the army.
Right.
And you need to be there on time, and you don't have any control over your time, and no one cares what you really want to do, etc. But on the other hand, you get to spend time with amazing individuals who
Yeah.
are basically your age. So yeah, they all want to have fun the same way you do,
Yeah.
and to find ways to have fun, when you can.
Right. That's cool. So you're in for 6 years.
Yeah, yeah,
Then
yeah.
what
You have to
happened?
go for three, but because I went through this computer software development training, I had to stay for longer.
Okay.
So I stayed for 6 years. I started my university in parallel to that.
Mhm.
So when I'm looking at my kids who are now in college, I'm like, uh-uh. I was working full time, and then
Right.
I was signing up for any course that was after 5 p.m.
Right.
And then summer semesters,
Mhm.
anything that I could kind of get
Fit in.
myself into while still keeping my full-time job in the army. I did that.
Yeah. Good for you. So so
Yes and
you
no.
go to
It's a
university.
different experience as a student. I remember
Yeah.
that when I was at university, seeing all those students that could spend a couple of hours on the lawn just sunbathing. I had no idea how to do something like that.
Right. So you go to university after the military. Then what do you do?
Sorry.
What do you get your degree in?
Computer science
Okay. That makes
and
sense.
economics.
Okay.
The computer science was, a profession that I already had.
Right.
So, I was like, okay, I have already experience as a software developer. And the army was the best school I could ask for, but still, I needed a diploma, right?
Right.
And then I loved economics. So it was a good combination. And I even got to enjoy many of my courses, which was cool.
Yeah. That is cool.
And then after I left the army, I finished my degree, and then I said, okay, now it's my time to really think about what I want to do.
Right.
So I went traveling in East Asia, spent there 6 months, came back by mistake. Wanted to keep on traveling. But this was really an amazing experience of waking up in the morning and just think, okay, what do I feel like doing today? It was kind of the exact opposite of how I spent the 6 years before that.
Right. Where you were literally told where you were going to be and what time and what you were doing and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huge difference. So from your time in the military, what was the number one most important thing you learned?
I think that one of probably the most important lesson is to always challenge what you are told. And
Okay.
I'm not talking about it just in terms of, it's the army, so I'll do whatever I want and I'll just hope not to get caught.
Right.
Still, I was working in technology, and very often we were told that, yeah, this is done the way it is because there's no other way.
Right.
I can tell you, in 99% of the cases, there is another way.
Yeah.
You just need to try.
Yeah. And it might be a better way.
And sometimes a better way. Yeah, but if you don't try, you will never find its better way, right?
Gotcha.
And I think that it really goes across everything. So, it has to do with timelines. Like, oh, no one can do it in whatever, a week. It must take a month. Huh? Okay, let's do it in a week.
Right.
Right?
To prove everybody wrong.
Yeah, the thing is that because so many people will just hear that and say, yeah, there's no way it can be done within less than a month.
Yeah.
Let's try. What's the worst thing that can happen, right?
Right. What's the worst thing that can happen? It can take a month.
Yeah, and I'm telling my kids, the only way that you will never fail is if you never try.
True.
But if you never try, you will never succeed.
Correct. And you learn more from failing than you do from succeeding anyway. Yep. Right. So what would you rather do? Would you rather learn? Right.
And trying is fun.
Yeah.
Otherwise it means in a way that you are controlled by fears.
Yeah.
I don't want to try that. I might fail, or I might be punished, might get punished, or whatever.
Right.
So daring, and I think that as an entrepreneur, and for me, entrepreneur is everything. It's not just technology or startups or whatever. It can be, I don't know, fixing something at home.
Yeah.
Right. How many times my wife told me, don't try. There's no chance you will succeed. That's the strongest drive for me.
Right. It's like waving red in front of a bull.
Oh yeah.
I love it. So after college, after school, after university, and after you go traveling, what happens next?
Oh, that's an interesting story. So I really enjoyed traveling. It was like a dream come true. And then after 6 months, I was kind of, running low on my money. And someone offered me a project in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in software development. So it was relatively decent amount of money. And I was like, okay, so I traveled for half a year. I want to travel some more. I can go to Australia and work in a farm. And I don't really like all those agricultural, jobs. Or you can go back to Israel, meet your friends, family, work for several months, and you'll have enough money to travel again.
Right.
So, and we're talking about, it was 1998, 1997. So, communication was not the way it is right now, that you can just text everyone, no mobile phones. Anyway, so I spoke with these guys about the project, and I told him, I'm going to be just a couple of weeks late. Came back to Israel, took one day to relax, called them, and they said, sorry, the project is canceled. And I remember myself thinking, okay, so I'm back in Israel. I don't have a job. I don't have a car. I don't have an apartment. I don't have a girlfriend.
Yeah.
I need to work on all these.
Right. All these must-haves.
Yeah. And this was February. It took me 6 months to check all of these boxes.
Mhm.
And I'm still married to the girlfriend that I had back then. And the rest is history. So I didn't continue traveling, or not the way I wanted to.
Right.
By the way, I got a job, and after, I don't remember, maybe a year, I went to my boss and said, I realized that I still want to travel just a little bit.
Right.
So I went for another couple of months in Central America, and then I had to settle down, get married, have kids, all the boring stuff.
Yeah. So you settle down, you get married, you have kids. What are you doing for a living?
Software developer.
Okay. Okay.
So I was a software developer, but then, if you remember what I just mentioned about, this travel in Central America,
Right.
so I kind of settled down. Okay, so I had a great job, was paying very, very well, but I felt that something was missing. So I went to Central America. I was in Guatemala, was riding this. I was on a bus that was on some dirt road somewhere in the middle of nowhere, sitting on the roof, because I don't know how it is these days, but when I was traveling, it was very common to just sit on the roof of the bus.
Wow.
I did it a lot in Asia. It's amazing. That's really the best way to travel.
Yeah.
Other than once that I almost hit a wire. A power cable.
Right.
Anyway, if you survive that, it's really fun. And then I was sitting on the top of the bus, and the bus was stuck, etc. And I couldn't care less. It was a great experience, great views. And it was then that I realized that working in technology my whole life will be very boring,
Oh.
because I felt that I loved, the technology and making it work, which is
Yeah.
similar to math in a way.
Right.
But I was curious to get more of the human touch. So basically work with individuals, understand how technology can help them solving whatever challenges they had, how
Right.
technology could help them work more efficiently, for example. So I kept on traveling, came back to work. I'm not sure how my boss could still stand me back then. And I was like, okay, I'm back, but
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I want to be a developer.
Right.
Right. So anyway, but no, it was really great. It was very accommodating. So I switched into product management,
Okay.
which is, for me, the best work in the world. Why? Because every day you solve problems.
Yeah.
And if you're lucky, you're solving different problems
Yeah.
every day, which is something that I really, really enjoy doing.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. Good for you. So you go into project management. How long were you in project management?
No, not project management. Project management is the most boring thing. It's product management.
Oh, sorry. I apologize. Product management. So you go into product management, solving problems every day. You feel fulfilled. How long were you doing that?
I'm still doing it now.
Oh, okay. So that brings us up to today.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Kind of, and I'll tell you why. Because I was a product manager. I really enjoyed every moment of that. And then I found myself in a small startup
Mm-hmm.
It was early 2000, so there were tons of startups
Right.
everywhere, and it was it was the burst of the bubble, if you
Mm.
remember that.
Yep. The dot-com
Um,
bubble. Yeah.
yeah, and for me it was like an amazing roller coaster,
Yeah.
because I was at a startup, and one day we were sure that we were going to sign a major contract and we'll kind of conquer the world.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next day it didn't work out, and we had to lay off 30% of our headcount. And it kept on going like that, up and down, up and down, up and down.
Okay.
Um, and for me, it was very interesting because I found myself doing things that I never thought that I would do. So I started in product management, and then, through this roller coaster, I had to help with sales. If you ask me
Really?
for that, I'd say sales, that's definitely not for me.
Right.
But I started to enjoy it, and it worked well. So I did sales, I did business development, whatever was required.
What did you enjoy about
First of all, I think that one of the things that I enjoyed is that it was very different.
it? Mm-hmm.
I realized it was very different than what I thought.
Yeah. It always
Because
is. Everybody I've talked to that's never been in sales, they get into it and they go, "Oh, this wasn't what I thought it was going to be. This is not what I imagined."
Well, in a good way, or are they
Yeah.
disappointed?
If you're really in sales, like if you're really good at sales, all you're doing is solving problems, which is exactly what you were doing in product management.
Yeah, but I think that in sales, at least for me, I had this impression that all salesmen were the same,
Right.
right? So someone who is very, very self-confident will.
We hope you enjoyed another episode of the Mike Litton Experience. If you did, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about our program, and wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating. It helps us to connect with quality people just like you.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at Litton Realty. Want to meet with Mike? Check out calendly.com/Rio760.